Okay, so today is Wednesday, July 20th. It's about 9:30 in the morning here. That's 3:30 back home in North Carolina. It's our last day in Prague before the actual cruise begins. And today we're actually taking an excursion offered by Viking called Jewish Prague. And we are in the Jewish quarter, about to go see some synagogues and other pertinent things related to Jewish history in Prague. Okay, the first synagogue we visited today on our Jewish Prague tour was the Pinkist Synagogue. It was built in 1535 in the late Gothic style. It is the second oldest surviving synagogue in Prague. Today, the synagogue serves as a museum memorializing 78,000 Czech Jews who were murdered during the Holocaust. The names of these victims are written on the interior walls of the synagogue by city of origin, some of which you can see here. Here you can see the names of concentration camps and transit camps to which Prague Jews were sent in the 1940s, flanking what should be the Aron HaKodesh. Here in the center you can see the bima, the raised platform where the Torah scrolls would be read from, on a little reading table, reading desk, which you can see here. But because this is no longer an active synagogue, it is no longer used in this manner. This artwork here, which you can see is depicting the Terezin transit camp, is preserved in the Pinkist Synagogue, along with these here, which are showing what it was like before the transport to Terezin. Here you can see the gallery of the synagogue, a view down into the bima, as well as the ceiling of the synagogue. The gallery, of course, being the place where women attended the religious services in the synagogue. Next, we visited the Old Jewish Cemetery. The cemetery was established in the 1400s and continued to be used through the 1700s. During this time period, Jews were not allowed to bury their dead outside of the Jewish quarter. For this reason, it became necessary to layer the bodies over the centuries. It is believed there are some areas with up to 12 layers of bodies. This is why the 12,000 tombstones are piled so closely together. The oldest tombstones of the cemetery are preserved within the wall. Visitors place notes in here similar to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. And here's a last look at some of the tombstones. The second synagogue we visited was the Clausen Synagogue. When I walked into this synagogue, I was immediately drawn to the Aron HaKodesh. This cupboard-like fixture faces Jerusalem and is considered the holiest part of the synagogue as it holds the Torah scrolls. Here in the center of the synagogue is the bima with a preserved Torah scroll. All right, and here is a view of the gallery from the ground floor. The third synagogue we visited was the Old New Synagogue. It is called the Old New Synagogue because when it was constructed in 1270, it was the New Synagogue. There was a synagogue that was older called the Old Synagogue. The synagogue was constructed in the Gothic style, and it is still active today with Orthodox Jewish congregants. Along the walls, you will see 12 stained glass windows representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Here is the bima in the center, and you can see no scrolls because this is an active synagogue. There is no gallery in the synagogue, so women had to sit outside the sanctuary and listen through the holes in the walls. Here is the Aron HaKodesh, and because this is an active synagogue, there is this tapestry covering the scrolls. Next, we have Rabbi Lowe's chair, which has been sealed off since his death in the 1600s. The fourth and final synagogue we visited today was the Spanish Synagogue. It was constructed in the Moorish style in the 1860s. It is the youngest synagogue in Prague's Jewish quarter. It stands on the grounds where the old synagogue once stood. The congregation of the old synagogue outgrew its size, and so it was torn down and the Spanish synagogue was built in its place. You can see that this synagogue does have a gallery for the women to attend the religious services. Okay, here we have a view of the dome and a side view showing the gallery, steps to the gallery, the organ, and a view of the Aron HaKodesh facing Jerusalem and covered because it is still an active synagogue.